So despite growing up in a Christian church, having a great Christian mother, attending church every Sunday, doing everything I thought I was supposed to do, and having a relationship with God, it was not going the way it was supposed to, and it all just looked like it was falling apart to pieces. My husband was abusive, cheating. We had 3 young children. I was at home by myself, really isolated, feeling not really worth much. I always had faith, always had God, but I wasn't allowed to express God at home or talk about God. I wasn't allowed to pray with my children or sing Jesus Loves You to them at night to sleep. But I feel God really broke me out of that darkness, and he brought me out of that relationship so I could lead my children. I could have that freedom of faith again, and I could feel closer to him. I am still on my own. I'm 11 years old, but it's been a transformation through those 11 years. I've never done it alone. I might be the only parent in the house, but I'm not the authority figure. There is one higher than me. God's always been providing. Single income, low income. There are times when there's a bill that I don't know how it's going to get paid, and then all of a sudden there's money in the account. There's a extra income support that I wasn't aware of. There was a blessing from a friend, or there's groceries show up at the front door without me even telling anybody what's going on. God's always been provider. And I look at my singleness as not as a reflection that I'm not worthy of love or a partner or a husband, but I see it as a blessing. That Paul was absolutely spot on when he said singleness is a blessing, and it is a calling too. I have the freedom to worship and praise my God every second and every minute of the day. I can declare that my house is a house of God. I have the freedom to be a part of such an amazing church family that is a community that loves and supports. I get more than I give. And to have Christian friends and family is something that I really missed, and it's something that I really value. I really value my Christian support. So it's not been easy. Growing up in the 90s as well, in the Pentecostal church, it was, following God, and life's meant to be all rainbows and butterflies and easy, and it's so not what you thought it would be. That's not what scriptures say. Scriptures say my yoke is easy and my burden is light, but that doesn't mean life is easy. It means that it's possible. It means that with him you can, and when you feel you can't, he does. He can. And that's the difference for me, is that I've seen so many that I grew up with fall away because the expectations that they had of being a Christian and walking with God weren't met. But I've always known that God's always been with me. I always know that he's close. And I did start that relationship young, very young, just by talking to God all the time. I might have been the crazy person on the bus, looking like I was talking to myself. And I suppose once you also get that spirit of gratitude, when you can reflect and think about and acknowledge what God does for you every single day, not just creating the entire universe and putting every star into place just for you, and giving his son to show us how to live our life and how to love ourselves and others. But every day, that prevenient grace, the grace that fights for you, and the things that we don't even know that he does, to me, just fills me with so much gratitude and love and admiration. Yeah, it can change your perspective for when you're in situations that are really hard. It can change it from, why God, why me, why is this happening? Because I think naturally we want to blame somebody. We want it to be somebody's fault. And we'll often think, oh, that happened because I did this, or they did that, or it's their fault. But if you can look beyond that, instead of asking, why me? And you can ask God, what for? Why am I going through this? Who is this for? What is the purpose of me growing and being challenged? I know that in my short 38 years of life, I've gone through a lot more than a lot of other people. But I don't see it as my fault for a lot of it. There were things out of my control, circumstances or behaviours forced on me. But I don't see that I've been condemned. God has never left me or not forsaken me. But I've learnt to grow. I've learnt to take every opportunity to use it as a testimony that it's God's glory. We go through things maybe just to be able to give God the glory and to testify how good he is. And that's okay with me. That's okay. And even if I go through things, just to be able to relate to somebody else who's going through the same thing I did, then it's worth it. If I can come alongside somebody and say, I know exactly how you feel. I know those thoughts. I know that situation. And it is real. It's not patronizing. It's not condescending, because you've lived it. You do know. And I think that's really powerful when you talk about connection with others and growing and spiritually supporting and strengthening each other is really important. So I know that I'm blessed in my singleness. I know that I'm not alone. And I get so much from being in the church family.